Hi, my name is Bob Morse, and I'm your incumbent City Council member here in Vadis Heights. I'm running again for City Council member on November 3rd. So I've lived in Vadis Heights for over 20 years with my wife and my 2 kids. My kids are grown. I've got 1 more year of college payments to make. That'll be a very happy day. So let me give you a little bit of background. I would say that I'm probably your most well-rounded and experienced candidate on the ballot this year. Why do I say that? Because not only am I an incumbent with experience within the council itself, but I've been on a number of boards, a lot of nonprofits. I've chaired a number of committees. I've led people, not only community and locally, but also county-wide in the Ramsey County Workforce Investment Board and the Ramsey County Youth Committee itself. I'm the past chair of the White Bear Lake Rotary Club. I've been a Rotary for 14 years in putting things together for our community. I'm on the capital campaign committees for both the Lakeshore Players, where we raise money for that, and also for the White Bear Center for the Arts. I've even led the Boy Scouts in raising money with business coordination in putting together contacts for them in order to get that raised as well. That's important too. I also want to mention that I was part of the strategic planning team. I was one of 30 that was asked for it. In fact, they call it a team of 30. And I was the only for-profit member of that whole committee itself. And that was an interesting discussion to be able to talk about that. So what we built was partnerships with area businesses so that we could form internships for our students, for hands-on and for vocational education itself. I'm also a member of the White Bear Lake Area Educational Foundation, and I think schooling is very, very important for the family. I think a lot of people will agree with me on that. One other thing I want to mention, and something I'm passionate about, is that I was also a board member for the Northeast Residents, Inc., which is a series of group homes for the developmentally disabled. My brother was autistic. He's passed away now almost 10 years, but that's something that's near and dear to my heart to be able to defend the defenseless. So what do we do within the council itself? And how do we take a look at that? Well, let me give you 3 things that I'm going to try to put together for you. The first thing is the budget. Why did I get involved in the council in the first place 2 years ago? Well, the reason why I got on it was because I noticed some different things that I'm a business banker within White Bear Lake. I've been a business banker for 25 years. We haven't had a banker on the council for a long time. So when I saw something happen with the sports center and putting that together, it cost us $26 million to build and to put up. It wasn't successful, and we ended up having to sell that for 10. Boy, that's quite a difference, and be able to look at that what we have. There's some other things too that happened. Garceau property, which is located on Centerville Road in Edgerton, that little 3-acre site that we purchased, and those buildings that needed to come down. Well, we bought that too, not city owned. We paid almost $850,000 for that piece of property. Now, $850,000 seems like a lot. It's because it is, especially when there's $1.2 million of cleanup underneath it. That was something that I didn't think was very responsible in looking at what we needed to do, but it's done. So we'll move forward. But I don't want those kind of mistakes happening again. So I got involved in the council and I ran for it. And that's why I'm running again. So how do we fix that? Well, we have to improve our budget. We have to take a look at some different things. It's a lot easier to save a buck than to make one. I always tell my clients that. So the first thing I did was take a look at the expenses that we had, and could we cut those expenses? Well, one of the things that was glaring to me was that we had a debt called the Vadis Heights Commons. In looking into it further with the bonding that we had, we were able to refinance that. We saved almost 3.5 points on that, actually a little more than that. $670,000 is what that equated to for the residents of Vadis Heights. That's a lot. And to add to that, we have to increase our revenues where we could. So we had limited development space that's left, and so we added that too. We got a couple of different things that are going on, such as SOS Furniture is moving in to town on Labor Road. And we also have at-home apartments. Now, at-home apartments located on McMenemy and Highway 96, 10-acre site over there. A lot of people were up in arms in regard to the traffic, and I don't blame them. That's important. The thing is, though, is that is a person's private property, and they have every right to sell it. So in putting some of those things together, my only decision was whether to keep it industrial or if we could move it into multifamily. And how would that affect our traffic? There were some other questions that we had too. The questions that we had, for instance, were allowing people that wanted to downsize within Bettis Heights. Empty nesters and senior citizens had come to me a number of times and said, I want to stay within the city of Bettis Heights, but you know what? There's no place to stay. I have to leave Bettis Heights, and I don't want to. It's a great community. So in doing that, that allows people an option to be able to stay here, to see their grandchildren, to see their cousins, to see their aunts and their uncles. I think that's really important piece to do it. And we have great schools, Mounds View and White Bear Lake schools here. The second thing that we wanted to talk about that was important on it was our infrastructure. Took a look at the streets. Our streets were crumbling, and they still are, but not as much as they were. So when I first got on the council, before I got on, we did 0 miles. 0. Now keep in mind we have to do 1.2 on average in order to keep up with maintenance. Well, when we got on, we did 1.1 miles on it, including the Berkeley Road area that's just off of Highway 61. And then we ranked our streets. Now that wasn't a Bob thing, that was a council thing, and that was a staff thing. It was a great idea to be able to do that. So we ranked our streets. We're looking for the poor streets and the fair streets. Not only for this year, but the next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. So we accelerated it in year 2. That's this year, 2020, to 1.8 miles. That's important. We also are taking a look at our parks and our trails to keep those updated as well. Done a great job on that. The third thing that I wanted to be able to talk about was our stewardship within the budget itself. So I'm a banker. I'm in White Bear Lake. I've been a banker for over 25 years. Taking a look at that, and numbers come naturally to me. So I'm taking a look at these numbers. Each time we get a packet, I go through those in detail. I go through them line by line by line. Not only what we spent, but also on the credit cards and what that looks like as well. I ask a lot of questions on what they are too. Well, one thing I noticed was, for instance, that there was a lot of late payments. Now, late payments are a little different than what you and I are used to. We take a look at those. If we don't pay the bill on time, we're going to get charged a late fee. Believe me, I certainly understand that. I don't like late fees. Nobody likes late fees, and so I don't pay them. But then the city shouldn't have to pay them either, but we were. So with the state law, we have to self-impose a late fee to ourselves to pay to the vendors if it's over 30 days. So I needed to stop that practice. I brought that to the attention, not once, not twice, but actually 3 times before people took notice of it, in being able to stop that practice. One last thing I want to mention is that with the uprisings that have happened within our city and within our nation after what happened to Mr. Floyd, and the fairness question that has come up, and a lot of different things, I'm for that. Of course I'm for that. With everything I do for people, it's a lot easier to be able to put something up and give a hand up rather than a hand out. So with what's important, we wanted to be proactive on that. So we put together a community engagement committee so that we can have discussions about what is important here in the city of Bettis Heights. They might look different than they look in Minneapolis. They might look different than they look in St. Paul. They might look different than what they look like in Arden Hills. Let's have those conversations. Let's be open and forthright to be able to have those and identify if there are any issues and what those issues are within Bettis Heights. That's an important conversation to have. Now again, my name is Bob Morse, and I'm your incumbent Bettis Heights City Council member. I'm running for a second term, and I would appreciate your vote on November 3rd. Thank you for listening.